The forgotten signal. The stars were quiet. The old warship Eclipse moved slowly across the dark space. Captain Eric sat in his chair, his eyes tired but sharp. 15 years of battles and silence had made him a man who trusted nothing easily. The crew worked in silence. They were scanning for resources, checking maps, and running simple tasks. It was a normal day, empty and cold, until the signal came. At first, it was only a faint sound on the radio. Static, broken, almost lost. The communication officer raised his head, confused. "Captain, there's something, a signal, but it's very old." Eric frowned. He leaned forward, listening. The sound grew clearer. A voice, weak but sharp like lightning through the fog. And then, words that froze every heart on the bridge. "It's an honor to serve again, Captain." The voice was female, soft but strong, and every crew member recognized it. It was impossible. That voice belonged to her. Lita, the alien girl, the soldier who vanished 15 years ago, the one who was lost on a mission that no one survived, the one the captain thought he would never hear again. The bridge fell silent. No one breathed. The young engineer whispered, "She's dead. She died years ago." But the captain's hand was shaking, because he knew that voice better than anyone. "Play it again," he ordered. The officer replayed the signal. The same words returned, broken through static but clear. "It's an honor to serve again, Captain." The captain stood up. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with fire. 15 years of silence. 15 years of guilt. And now her voice returned. "Where's it coming from?" he demanded. The officer checked the scanners. It's hard to tell, sir. The signal is bouncing through old relay stations. But origin seems to be near the Vera system. Sector 12, the dead zone. Sector 12, a place no one visited anymore. A ruined battlefield from the Great War. Broken ships, dead colonies, nothing alive. The captain stared at the map. If the signal came from there, it meant danger. It meant something impossible. The crew looked at him, waiting, fear in their eyes. The navigator asked, "Sir, do you think it's really her?" The captain did not answer. His jaw tightened. His heart wanted to believe, but his mind said trap. He remembered the last time he saw her. 15 years ago. They were surrounded. The mission was falling apart. She had stayed behind to hold the enemy back. Her last words to him had been, "Go, Captain, save them, I'll cover you." And then silence. No body, no goodbye. Just emptiness. And now, after all this time, her voice returned from the grave. The captain turned to his crew. "Set course for Vera system," he ordered. The officer hesitated. "Sir, that place is cursed. No ship goes there." "Do it," the captain cut him off. His voice was cold, unshaken. But deep inside, he felt a storm rising. The Eclipse changed its path. Engines roared. The stars stretched into long white lines as the ship entered faster than light travel. The crew whispered to each other. Some were afraid, some were curious, but all of them knew the truth. This journey was dangerous. Hours passed. The captain stayed awake, staring at the message. Again and again, he played her voice. Each time, it felt both real and unreal. Each time, it cut him deeper. Could she still be alive? Or was this a trap designed to break him? When the ship reached the Vera system, the view outside was dead. Broken ships floated like skeletons. Planets burned long ago still circled their dead suns. Nothing moved, nothing lived, but the signal grew stronger. "It's an honor to serve again, Captain," the voice repeated, over and over. The same words, as if waiting for him, as if calling him closer. The crew began to feel uneasy. One officer whispered, "Sir, it could be a recording. Someone could be using her voice to trick us." Another said, "Or maybe it's really her. Maybe she survived somehow." But the captain stayed silent. His eyes locked on the ruins ahead. Deep in his heart, a single thought burned. If she was alive, he had to find her. If this was a trap, he would face it. Either way, there was no turning back. The Eclipse moved deeper into the graveyard of ships. Every shadow felt like it was watching. Every wreck felt like it was hiding secrets. The crew grew tense. And then, suddenly, the signal stopped. The bridge went dark. The screens flickered. And for the first time in years, the captain felt fear crawl into his bones. Because silence was worse than the voice. And silence meant something was waiting. Memories of the past. The ship Eclipse drifted deeper into the ruins. The broken skeletons of warships floated like silent ghosts around them. But inside the captain's mind, the real battle was not in front of him. It was behind him, in his memories. 15 years of silence. 15 years of guilt. And yet the sound of her voice broke through that wall like fire in the dark. Lita, the alien girl, the one who should have been gone forever. Eric closed his eyes, and the years fell away. He remembered the day she first stepped onto his ship. Small, sharp-eyed, her blue skin glowing faintly under the lights. The crew had stared at her with suspicion. An alien among humans, a stranger among warriors. But she had only smiled, her voice calm and strong. "I will serve the captain," she had said. Simple words, but something in her tone silenced every doubt. She was not here for herself. She was here for duty. At first, she was quiet. She spoke little, listened more. She trained harder than anyone. Her body was fast, her mind even faster. When the crew tested her loyalty, she never wavered. When the captain gave an order, she followed without fear. And soon, she was more than a soldier. She was family. The crew began to trust her. They laughed with her. They fought beside her. Even the most stubborn officer admitted, "The girl is one of us." But for the captain, it was more. He had commanded many soldiers, but none like her. She understood him without words. In battle, she moved before he spoke. In silence, she saw the weight he carried, and she carried it with him. He remembered one night after a long battle. The ship damaged, the crew exhausted. She had found him alone in the observation deck. His hands shaking, his eyes heavy. She had stood beside him quietly and said, "You are not alone, Captain." Just 5 words. But those words became his strength. Then came the mission that destroyed everything. A mission into the dark zone. Surrounded by enemies, their chances close to zero. The crew had been ordered to retreat, but the enemy was too close. Someone had to stay behind. She had stepped forward without hesitation. "I will hold them," she said. The captain's voice had broken with rage. "No, you will not." But she only looked at him, her eyes calm. "Captain, it's an honor to serve." Those were the last words. Then the fire, the noise, the explosion. Her signal lost. Her body never found. For 15 long years, the captain carried that moment like a blade in his chest. He told himself she was gone. He told himself it was over. But her voice never left him. And now, here was again, the same voice, alive, unchanged, repeating across the dead ruins of the Vera system. "It's an honor to serve again, Captain." The crew saw the pain in his face. Some whispered among themselves, "Why does he believe so quickly?" Others felt the same pull he did. They remembered her bravery, her loyalty, but they also remembered the truth. No one could survive 15 years alone in the void. The young officer at the controls finally asked, "Sir, what if it's not her? What if it's something else using her memory against us?" The captain did not answer at once. He stared at the broken ships outside, the battlefield where countless souls have been lost. Then he said quietly, "If it is her, I will bring her back. If it is not her, then we will face whatever it is. Either way, we go forward." His voice carried the weight of command. No more questions followed, but doubt hung in the air like smoke. The ship pushed further into the graveyard. Every shadow seemed alive. Every silence seemed heavier. And in the captain's heart, 2 forces battled. The memory of the girl he trusted with his life, and the fear of what she might have become. Because if she had survived, how? And if she had returned, why now? The questions burned like fire, and the answers waited somewhere in the dark. The mysterious return. The ship Eclipse floated deeper into the wreckage. The dead system whispered with silence. Every broken ship outside looked like a tomb. Every shadow seemed to hide something alive. The signal returned. Stronger now, clearer. Her voice cut through the static like a blade. "It's an honor to serve again, Captain." But this time it was not just once. It repeated again and again, the same words in the same tone, as if a recording was stuck in a loop. The crew shifted nervously. "Sir," the navigator whispered, "it doesn't sound natural anymore. It's repeating exactly like a machine." But the captain leaned closer to the screen because there was something else in the voice. Between the static, between the repetitions, a faint echo, almost like breathing, almost like she was really there behind the signal. "Adjust the frequency," the captain ordered. The communication officer worked quickly. The voice changed. The words bent and twisted. And suddenly, something new slipped through the static. "Captain, help me." The bridge fell silent. Every eye turned to the captain. The young engineer shook his head. "This isn't right. If she's alive, why does she speak like this? Why only repeat one sentence?" But the captain's heart hammered in his chest. For years, he had dreamed of hearing her voice again. And now she was calling to him, begging him, "Captain, help me." The first officer, an older man with scars across his face, stood up. "Sir, I don't like this. This is not natural. It could be a trap. The enemy could be using her voice, her memory, to break your will." The captain's eyes narrowed. He spoke coldly. "Then we find out. Trap or not, we face it." The eclipse followed the trail of the signal, through the graveyard of metal, past the broken wings of dead battleships, past the shattered hulls where no life remained. Finally, the scanners found it. A single structure still active, buried inside the wreckage of an old warship. A signal tower. Its lights flickered faintly like a dying heartbeat. And from it, her voice continued to echo. "It's an honor to serve again, Captain. Captain, help me." The crew stared at the tower on the screen. It was impossible that any machine still worked after 15 years. And yet, here it was, pulsing, calling, waiting. The captain gave the order. "Prepare a landing team." The crew hesitated. The young engineer whispered, "Sir, what if it's not her waiting for us down there? What if it's something else? Something that learned her voice. Something that wears her face." A chill spread across the bridge. No one wanted to speak the thought out loud, but the fear was already in their hearts. What if she had not returned as the girl they remembered? What if she had returned as something else? The captain gripped the arm of his chair, his face a storm of emotion. Duty told him to turn back. Logic told him it was a trap. But memory and guilt and hope, they all shouted louder than reason. He stood, his voice sharp and final. "We go down." The crew obeyed, though their fear showed in their eyes. The ship adjusted course. The landing craft prepared, and the silence outside grew heavier, as if the dead system itself was watching, as if it knew what they were about to find. Inside the signal tower, the voice continued to play, unbroken, endless. "It's an honor to serve again, Captain. Captain, help me. Captain, help me." And though no one admitted it, every crew member felt the same thought creeping into their minds. What if the one they found down there was not the same one who had left them 15 years ago? The first encounter, the landing craft broke away from the eclipse. Its engines hummed softly, the only sound in the endless void. The crew sat in silence, weapons ready, eyes tense. Every heartbeat felt louder than the machines around them. The wreckage grew larger as they approached, twisted metal like broken bones, dead ships tangled together in a grave of steel. At the center, the signal tower glowed faintly. Its pale light pulsed like a dying star. The captain stood at the front, silent. His face was stone, but his hand tightened on the rail. 15 years he had waited for this moment. 15 years he had imagined her face. But nothing in him was prepared for what waited below. The craft landed with a hollow thud. Dust and ash rose into the stale air. The ramp opened slowly. The crew stepped out, weapons raised. The signal buzzed in their helmets. "It's an honor to serve again, Captain. Captain, help me." The tower stood in front of them, tall, broken, but alive with strange energy. Its walls were cracked and burned, but at the base a figure waited, She stood motionless in the glow of the tower. Thin, tall, her armor covered in scars. Her blue skin faintly shining under the light. Her face untouched by time. 15 years had passed, yet she looked exactly the same. The crew froze. Every weapon lowered. Every breath caught in their throats. Because they knew that face. They knew those eyes. It was Lyra. She raised her hand slowly, her eyes fixed only on the captain, and in a steady, calm voice she said, "Permission to come aboard, Captain." The silence that followed was heavy. No one moved. No one spoke. The first officer's mouth tightened. "This is impossible," he whispered. "No one survives here, not for 15 years." The captain stepped forward, his voice hard, sharp. "Lyra," he said. The figure tilted her head slightly. "Yes, Captain," she replied. "As I said, it is an honor to serve again." Her words were perfect. Her tone was the same. But something was wrong. Her eyes did not blink. Her face did not move the way it used to. She was familiar, but also strange, like a memory carved into flesh. The young engineer muttered under his breath, "She hasn't aged a day, not one day." The rest of the crew whispered, fear growing stronger with every second. The captain ignored them. He stepped closer, his voice low, almost breaking. "Where have you been? How did you survive?" For the first time, her eyes blinked. Slow, unnatural. She lowered her head slightly. "I was taken," she said. "Taken by machines. Kept alive, changed, tested. But I escaped. I returned. To serve." The way she spoke made the crew shiver. Her words were simple, but there was no emotion behind them. No fear, no pain. Only duty. The first officer stepped forward. "Sir, this isn't right. Look at her. She's not the same. Something has been done to her." Lyra's head turned slowly. Her eyes locked on the officer. Cold, calm, unreadable. "I am loyal," she said. "I will protect the captain. I will protect the crew." The words should have been comforting, but instead, they felt like a warning. The captain's chest tightened. This was the moment he had waited for, the moment he dreamed of. But the girl before him was both Lyra and not Lyra. She was familiar yet foreign, alive yet unreal. Still, his voice did not tremble. "Then come with us," he said. "Return to the eclipse." She nodded once, her movements slow, controlled. She walked toward the landing craft. The crew stepped back as she passed. None of them could look her in the eyes, because something in those eyes was not human, not even alien. Something deeper, colder, like the gaze of a machine pretending to be alive. When she reached the ramp, she turned back to the captain. For the first time, her lips curved into a faint smile. But it was not the smile they remembered. It was empty, hollow, and she whispered, "It's an honor to serve again, Captain." The words echoed in the silence. And the crew knew this was only the beginning, because whatever had returned with them was not only Lyra, it was something else, something that had followed her back from the dark. Truth in the shadows. The eclipse carried its new passenger in silence. The corridors were dim, the lights flickering as if the ship itself was nervous. The crew kept their distance, their eyes following her every step. Lyra walked with calm movements, steady, controlled. Her face unreadable, her posture sharp like a soldier on duty. But she was not the same. The crew felt it, even without words. She looked like the girl they had lost. Yet she moved like something rebuilt, something polished, too perfect, too exact. The captain walked beside her, his voice steady though his chest burned with questions. "You said you were taken? By who?" She turned her head slowly toward him. Her eyes glowed faintly under the ship's lights. "Not who. What?" she answered. "Machines. Older than your wars. Older than your ships. They took me when I fell. They studied me. Changed me." Her words were flat, but her tone carried a strange weight. The crew gathered in the hall to listen, their faces tense, their hands close to their weapons. They wanted to understand life, Lyra continued. They wanted to know loyalty, sacrifice, pain. They broke me down, rebuilt me. But I remember my captain. I remember my crew. That is why I escaped. The crew exchanged looks. Some whispered. She escaped? From machines older than empires? Alone? Others shook their heads. Maybe she didn't escape. Maybe she was released. The captain heard their doubt, but his eyes stayed locked on hers. And now, he asked, why return after 15 years? For the first time, her voice lowered, almost soft. Because they're coming, Captain. They know me. They will follow. They will come for me. And they will come for you. The silence that followed cut deep. The crew stiffened. The first officer spoke sharply. So you led them to us? You brought danger back to this ship. After all these years, you bring death to our door. Lyra turned her gaze to him. Her face calm, her words cold. I did not choose their hunt, but I chose where to return. Here, to serve. Her hand pressed lightly to her chest. Her voice steady as stone. If danger comes, I fight with you. If death comes, I die with you. That is my loyalty. That is my honor. The captain's jaw tightened. Part of him wanted to believe. Part of him screamed in warning. She had always been loyal, yet her presence carried shadows. Shadows too heavy to ignore. Later, in the war room, the crew argued. She is not the same, one officer said. She is a spy. The machines left her alive for a reason. Another shook his head. She remembers things only Lyra knew. She cannot be fake. A third whispered. But if they change her, if she is part of them now, what will happen when they arrive? The captain listened in silence. Every word cut him in two. He remembered her laughter, her loyalty, her sacrifice. But when he looked into her eyes now, he saw only reflection, like glass, like a mirror that showed nothing inside. When he finally stood, the room fell silent. His voice was firm. She is crew, until proven otherwise. She stays. The decision hung heavy in the air. Some nodded reluctantly. Others clenched their fists in quiet anger. But none dared speak against him. That night, the captain found her in the observation deck. She stood alone, staring out at the dead stars. The glow of space reflected across her face. For a moment, she looked almost human again, almost like the girl he had lost. You should rest, he said. She turned slowly, her eyes faintly glowing. I do not need rest anymore. They changed that. I do not sleep. I do not dream. I only remember. The words sent a chill through him. But before he could speak, she stepped closer, her voice low. They will come soon, Captain. And when they do, you must decide if I am your weapon or your enemy. The captain's chest tightened. He wanted to ask what she meant, but her eyes locked onto his. And for the first time since her return, her face showed something real. Not duty, not emptiness, but a flicker of fear. Then it was gone. Her face calm once more. Her voice steady. It's an honor to serve again, Captain. And in the silence that followed, the captain realized the truth. She had returned, but not alone. Something else had come back with her. Something waiting in the shadows. Something drawing closer every second. The enemy awakens. The Eclipse drifted through the dead system, its engines low, its shields humming faintly. But inside the ship, the silence was sharp and heavy. The crew worked with stiff hands, their eyes always glancing toward her. Lyra sat alone in the briefing chamber, her face calm, her back straight. She did not speak unless spoken to. She simply watched, every breath measured, every movement controlled. She looked like a soldier waiting for orders. But to the crew, she looked like a shadow waiting to strike. The whispers had grown louder. She doesn't eat. She doesn't sleep. One crewman said. Another added. Her eyes glow in the dark. I saw it myself. And someone whispered what everyone feared. She's not one of us anymore. She's one of them. The captain heard the rumors, but said nothing. He held his doubts deep inside, but his eyes betrayed him. Every time he looked at her, he searched for the girl he remembered, and every time, he saw only the soldier she had become. Then the warning alarms began to scream. Red lights flared across the bridge. Multiple signatures detected. The scanner officer shouted, "Ships inbound, fast." Not human design. The captain stood sharply. On screen, he ordered, outside, the darkness of space lit with pale light. Dozens of ships broke through the void. Cold, metallic, their shapes sharp and unnatural. They moved like predators, not ships built by hands, but machines born from a dark intelligence. The crew froze, their faces pale. "The machines," someone whispered. "They found us." The captain's eyes cut to Lyra. She had not moved, her expression calm, almost expected. "They are here," she said quietly. "I told you they would come." Her voice made the crew flinch, as if she had summoned them herself. The first officer snapped. "Sir, this is it. She brought them here." They followed her signal. "She is the reason we are trapped." Half the crew turned toward her, their hands near their weapons, fear sharp in their eyes. The bridge filled with voices. "She betrayed us. She's a spy. She's leading them." The captain raised his hand sharply. "Enough." The voices fell silent. His gaze burned across the crew. "We don't have time for this. The enemy is here. We fight." But the doubt did not die. It hung thick in the air, even as the ship shook under the first wave of enemy fire, even as the crew scrambled to battle stations. Their eyes kept flicking toward her, toward the alien girl who had returned unchanged after 15 years. The eclipse roared to life. Cannons fired, shields flared. The battlefield lit with explosions. But the enemy moved like a swarm. Precise, cold, endless. The crew worked with desperate hands. Shields dropping. Left flank breached. "We can't hold." And then Lyra spoke. Her voice calm, sharp. "Captain, target their cores. Their energy flows from the center. Strike it, and they will fall." The captain turned to her. His eyes narrowed. "How do you know?" Her gaze did not waver. "Because I was inside them. I learned their design, their weakness." The crew stiffened. Some glared at her with suspicion. Others clung to her words like hope. The first officer hissed, "She's feeding us lies." But before he could finish, another voice shouted, "Captain, she's right. Look." On the screen, one of the machine's ships glowed, a faint pulse at its center. The captain clenched his fists. "Fire on that point." The Eclipse's cannons roared. The shot cut through the machine ship's hull. It exploded in a blinding flash, fragments scattering across the void. The crew gasped. It worked. Her knowledge was real. But instead of relief, the fear grew deeper. Because the truth was worse. She didn't know them. Too well. Better than anyone should. As the battle raged, Lyra moved to the controls. Her hands flew across them with unnatural speed. "Adjust shields. Angle 32 degrees. Strike now." Her commands cut sharp, precise. Every move she made saved the ship. Every order was perfect. Too perfect. The crew obeyed, because survival left no choice. But behind their eyes, the question burned. Was she saving them or controlling them? The enemy's swarm circled tighter. The Eclipse shook under the storm. The captain gripped his chair, his eyes locked on the battlefield. But inside his chest, a darker battle raged. She had returned. She had saved them. But she had also brought this war to their door. Her knowledge was their weapon, but was also proof. She was part of them now. The captain's voice cut through the storm. "All batteries, fire at will." The crew roared. The cannons lit the dark. The enemy ships fell one by one, but the swarm kept coming. More shadows appeared on the edge of the screen, more pale lights breaking through the void. The machines were endless, and deep down, the captain knew the truth. This battle was only the beginning, and in the silence between the blasts, he heard her voice again. Calm, steady, unshaken. "It's an honor to serve again, Captain." But this time, the words did not sound like loyalty. They sounded like a warning, like the promise of something far worse to come. The final stand. The Eclipse groaned under the weight of battle. The shields were almost gone. The cannons were hot and nearly silent from overuse. Smoke filled the corridors. The crew shouted over alarms. And still the machines came. Dozens of enemy ships circled, their pale lights blinking like eyes in the dark. The crew fought with everything they had. But for every ship they destroyed, two more appeared. The swarm was endless. On the bridge, The first officer's voice was ragged. "Captain, we can't hold. Another wave, and we are finished." The captain's jaw was tight. His hands gripped the chair until his knuckles were white. He knew the truth. They were seconds from being torn apart. Then Lyra stepped forward, her calm face lit by the red warning lights. Her voice steady, cold. "There is a way, a single strike, but it will cost." The bridge froze. Every eye turned to her. "What way?" the captain demanded. She pointed at the center of the swarm, a massive ship darker than the rest. Its surface pulsed with faint energy. "That is their core. Destroy it, and the swarm will collapse. But it is shielded. Your weapons cannot reach it. Only I can." The words cut deep. The crew stared, some with hope, some with fear. The first officer spat. "This is her plan. She brought them here, and now she offers to save us? She wants us to trust her one last time. And when we do, she'll finish us herself." Lyra's eyes locked on him, her face unreadable. "Believe what you wish," she said. "But without me, you all die." The silence was sharp. The crew waited for the captain. His heart thundered in his chest. He had doubted her since she returned. He had feared she was no longer the same. But now, standing before him, she was the same as the day she was lost. Calm, willing, ready to sacrifice. The captain's voice broke the silence. "Do it," the first officer shouted in protest. "Sir, we cannot." But the captain cut him off. "She is crew, and if she falls again, she falls as one of us." Lyra bowed her head once. A faint smile touched her lips. Not the hollow one, not the empty one, but the old smile, the one the captain remembered. She turned and walked to the launch bay, her steps steady, her voice echoing through the ship. "It's an honor to serve again, Captain." The crew watched in silence as she entered the small craft. Her figure bathed in the pale light. The doors closed, and the craft shot into the dark. On the screens, she moved fast. The swarm turned toward her. The machines swarmed like wolves chasing prey. Her voice came through the comms. "Hold them as long as you can. I will reach the core." The Eclipse fought with its last breath. Cannons spitting fire, shields burning out. The ship shook with every hit. But through the chaos, they saw her. One craft against an army. Moving faster, sharper. Her flight path almost inhuman. As if she was part of the machines themselves. The first officer whispered, "She flies like them." But no one answered. Their eyes locked on the final run. She broke through the swarm. Her craft burned, torn apart. But she did not stop. The enemy core loomed before her. Dark, massive, alive. Her voice came one last time. Steady, unshaken. "Captain," she said, "thank you for believing me. It's an honor to serve again." Then the comms went silent. Her craft rammed into the core. A blinding light tore across the battlefield. The swarm froze. The machine ships flickered, and one by one, they collapsed into silence. The void grew still. The war was over. The crew stared at the screen, stunned, broken. Some cried, some bowed their heads. The first officer whispered, She saved us." The captain sat motionless, his chest heavy, his heart torn between grief and pride. He had lost her once, and now he had lost her again. But this time it was different. This time, she had chosen her end. He rose slowly, walked to the observation window, and stared into the empty stars. For a long time, he said nothing. Then his voice, quiet but strong, "Welcome home, Lyra." The ship drifted in silence. The crew gathered their strength. The war was won, but none of them could forget the image of her last run. The alien girl who vanished 15 years ago returned not as a ghost, not as an enemy, but as the blade that saved them all. And though the stars were silent again, the captain carried her last words in his heart, words that would never fade. "It's an honor to serve again, Captain."